Today, we will answer the age-old question as to whether you lose alcohol when you pasteurize in an open bottle.
Dun, dun, dun.
Our test subject for today is Khajiit blood. And the reason I chose it is because it's a 1.004 final gravity, so it's very, very close to dry. This system probably will be more accurate because of that. So that's why we're doing it. It's also 12.1% ABV. First thing I want to do is use my hydrometer / refractometer test to get as accurate of an ABV calculation as we can get so that we have something to compare it to later.
Do we need note paper?
We need note paper. Okay, to do this, I need 2 readings. Now, I'm not all that worried about this bottle. We are probably going to end up drinking some of it and making it go away, but everything has actually been sanitized. So the first thing that I want to do is get our hydrometer reading. And I'm going to close the bottle just because, you know, if I knock it over. If you're unfamiliar with the method that I'm about to use, we do have a video on this where I explain the entire system and how it works and where it's good and maybe not so accurate to use. I'm using it because that way we have a consistent reading across both tests. Okay, it's actually at 1.008, so it's a little bit sweeter than I thought. I also need to take a refractometer reading, and for that I'm just going to use an eyedropper and get a couple drops for my refractometer, get the reading on that. Ideally, you want your refractometer reading in bricks. So for this, it looks to be 10.9 bricks. All right, now I'm going to be using a program called FirmCalc. We can put a link to it in the description. And it's actually really, really good for doing this sort of thing. So I'm gonna start plugging in these numbers, 10.9. Oops, I need to write that down too. And our hydrometer reading was 1.008. Now the important thing is we need to know the temperature that this was read at. So got my thermometer here, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So let me write that down and plug it into the calculator. Now, another important number to know is your calibration temperature for your hydrometer. Mine is a 60-degree calibrated hydrometer, so I already have that plugged in. That gives me what says here, 12.4%. Well, I mean, there's a bunch of different numbers when you do this. I'm just gonna use the top one, make life really easy. So this is saying 12.4% ABV.
And we had guesstimated ours to be 12.1, so it's pretty darn close.
Pretty close. I usually estimate down anyway when we do these. So what I'm gonna do now is break a cardinal rule, and I'm gonna dump this sample back in that bottle because I wanna do a whole bottle, okay? That's part of the deal here. Like I said, we're not really worried about this bottle, so don't worry about oxidation or sanitation on the bottle or anything like that. Just, it's an experiment.
This bottle's gonna be gone by the end of the day.
Yes, it will be. Okay, we will re-sanitize all this stuff in a few minutes, but in the meantime, right now, I have here a pot with some water in it.
And our
Probably not quite enough, but it's okay.
And our immersion circulator.
Exactly, also known as a sous vide. Even though sous vide is the method of cooking, it's actually an immersion circulator that does the work.
So we are gonna have to add more water because we haven't gone up to the minimum line of our immersion circulator. Please take that into consideration when you're working with this. Your immersion circulator should have a minimum and a maximum line for the water level of your container. Make sure that you fall within those parameters.
Try to cover the bottle as much as you can with water. It'll make it heat up a little bit faster. Because what's gonna happen is this, as that starts to heat up, the water is gonna get up to temperature much more quickly than what's inside that glass. So when that bottle reaches 140 degrees Fahrenheit, the liquid in the bottle, which I will test by using this thermometer right here. When that hits 140 degrees Fahrenheit, I start a timer for 22 minutes. When that's done, I'm gonna remove it from there, and then we'll be back to measure it again. Okay, when it reached 140 degrees Fahrenheit, I set a timer for 22 minutes. At the end of 22 minutes, I capped it and removed it from the water. So it was open the whole time it was heating up, but not while it's been sitting now. But I can tell this is still pretty warm. Let's just take a temperature on it. Okay, right now it's 118.6 degrees. That's a little too warm for an accurate testing. So what I'm gonna do is dump a little bit of this out into another container and cool that container down, and we'll be back in a second once it's about the same temperature. All right, so Derica had a great idea when I started to pour this. She said, why don't you just put it in the graduated cylinder. That way I could just use this. So what I'm gonna do is just run this under the tap a little bit to cool it down to about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Be back in a sec. Okay, so I ran it under water and then held it up to the AC because our water is 78 degrees and I couldn't get it to go down anymore.
Welcome to Florida.
Yeah. So anyway, right now it is at 75.4 degrees Fahrenheit. That's as close as I'm gonna get it. It's okay. So I'm writing that down. Also, our gravity reading is looks like 1.010. So it actually seems to have gone up ever so slightly, which is strange, but I'm going with it. Refractometer. Would you be so kind as to balance that so that it doesn't fall over?
I will.
Okay, make sure I get all the fluid out of this so it doesn't throw off our reading. They're like that kid in the meme pointing their finger.
The hairbrush?
Yeah.
Yeah, got me.
It tastes roughly the same as it did before, but we do have a little bit of a difference in bricks here. It looks like 10.7. So does that mean something happened? I don't know.
I don't know, right here, 10.7.
I was gonna take care of that. I was gonna say, if you want to start drinking that, go for it.
If I must.
Yeah, drink from a test tube. We're classy around here, what can I say? All right, so anyway, like I said, we're classy around here. My refractometer reading was 1.010. You okay over there? A little bit of a drinking problem? Oh wait, refractometer. My refractometer reading, because I put it in the wrong spot, was 10.7. My hydrometer reading is 1.010. The reading temperature was 75.4, 60 calibration temperature. That gives me 13.1% ABV.
So it went up?
So here's what I have to say about that. My idea is this. I think some evaporation happens, okay? So some liquid evaporated out. I probably should have put a tape marker or something on the bottle to know how much liquid actually evaporates, because what I believe happened is liquid evaporated, but not enough to actually lose much alcohol. But what was there concentrated slightly. I don't think it could concentrate that much though.
Right.
That just doesn't seem
different
right.
variables that are here, that are present
Yeah.
in this kind of reading. And the similarity of the 12.4 to the 13.1
Yeah.
makes me think,
I have a curiosity. What if the gravity was the same? What if it actually didn't change and I just misread one of them? Let me do that. So if I change this to 1.008, just to see that actually makes it go higher alcohol. Wow. So, you know what the results on this are?
inconclusive.
Inconclusive. And I had been talking with Derek about this. I'm like, we might get some weird numbers and it might be inconclusive or something, and maybe we won't show this. But you know what? I think we're going to show it anyway because it's interesting. I think somebody's going to get something out of it, and somebody might even be able to tell us why it went up. I think I may be onto something with evaporation and concentration of what's there.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, on many comments where people have asked about this, we had a chemist years ago tell us that when you start to boil things off or heat things up, they don't actually boil off at the temperatures you think they should. Like alcohol should be like 160 Fahrenheit. It doesn't actually boil off at 160 when it's mixed with other things.
Right. So this is a chemistry experiment. There's multiple elements within this bottle. Right. So even though they're blended together, the different parts are going to react differently to temperature change and whatnot.
Exactly. And as a whole, they react differently too.
Right.
So you can't really predict that, at this exact temperature, this is going to boil off.
Even though this test was completely inconclusive,
yeah,
those numbers and those variables make me think that it is probably a safe guess to say
not much.
Pasteurization really isn't going to get rid of your alcohol.
No. I would say not much, if any, at all. Nothing to worry about. Yeah. Let's put it that way. So, is this a definitive test?
No.
Absolutely not. Will we try this again sometime?
Maybe. Who
Maybe.
knows?
I don't know.
We'll figure some other method.
I might just put a community post or something if we do it again, just to see what we come up with. But anyway, as always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and have a good day.
Bye-bye.